Welcome, a special huge actually welcome to Rivka, who's come all the way from Jerusalem, so give it up for Rivka. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. Oh, yeah. A couple of things before we get into the talk. We're going to start our musical Havdalas in Tel Aviv. We want to eventually go rocking and kick our golfing on the beach, but just to get us going slowly, we're going to be in Kerem House this week on 17 Allenby, the last hour of Shabbat. We're calling it the sunset hour. You want a free Sudash Lashit. I know in Tel Aviv you like free food, so free Sudash Lashit, followed by a free amazing rock guitarist joining us for Havdalah.
Where is it, Rabbi?
17 Allenby. 17 of Allenby. At the corner of Edelston. It's called Kerem House. Also, you're all welcome. And then next Shabbat, amazingly enough, we've bought the Crown Plaza Hotel. So we're in the Crown Plaza, and we'd love you to come and join us Friday night at the Crown Plaza. We've booked a room by the sea where you can look over the sea. 5-star food. Me and my wife very altruistically went and checked it out for you last week. Food is amazing, incredible. Every type of fish, sushi and salmon and meat and lamb. So it was awesome. So you're all welcome to join us. Let's begin, everybody. Time is short. Let's get into it. Thank you for joining us on Facebook. Please, on Facebook, share it. And we're putting on YouTube afterwards. By the way, if anybody hasn't got our YouTube account yet, please subscribe to Jnetwork 613. And then you'll see there's about 200 talks going on. Here's the question tonight. Here is the question tonight. Has any one of you got at least one true friend? Like a true friend, a real friend, a friend that's going to be there for you no matter what. That's prepared to put themselves out for you. Do we even believe in the concept of friendship? Everyone talks about, I want a friend. I need to have a friend. I'm with my friends. Friends. What is a friend? And are we capable of actually having true friendship? For example, how many times do you have a friend when it's convenient? When there's like mutual benefit? You're benefiting, they're benefiting. The moment that benefit stops, the friendship stops. What about when there's health problems and all of a sudden someone loses some health? Is it cool for that other person to stay with them? And I asked my wife before I came tonight, I said, darling, is there such thing as a true friend? Now, I was actually hoping for a nice romantic answer, about to be married for 30 years. So I was hoping she's going to say, what you are, darling? And my wife's answer, because she really likes her cynicism, no. No such thing as a true friend. I know, it's all good. Right? But she said no, because if you think about it logically, intuitively, seemingly, there's no such thing as true friendship. In fact, there was one very great man once, his name is David Coffer, I'll never forget it, about 12 years ago, he said to me this scary line, he goes, if you ever have one true friend in your life, you're lucky. To have one true friend, you're lucky. And tonight I'd like to give you the Kabbalistic take, based on Kabbalah, on how we can have true friendships. Spirituality, we believe it is possible. It's hard, it's going to be really hard to achieve it. It's rare, but it's so doable if you can just internalize some of these messages we're going to learn tonight. And somewhat it's connected to the following question. And here's the question. Now, so the first question for you is again, has anyone in here got a true friend? Okay, not bad.
Not many
friends. It's not bad, it's like a few percent.
20%.
By the way, we've got a married couple there, so true friendship. You're meant to both put up your hands, guys. Of course it counts. But I always say the best thing about getting married, you should try and marry and fancy your best friend. I once, I think one of my children's weddings, I said thank you to my wife, my best friend, for sure. My wife's definitely my best friend. Whether I'm her best friend is another story. But she's definitely my best friend, and for sure, I would hope that your spouse is your best friend. Now some people, by the way, I'm not getting complicated, like if you've got another best friend, I don't want to make threesomes and to create issues, right? But bottom line, it's nice if your spouse is your best friend, but it doesn't have to be, but they should be. I would hope they're a true friend, never mind your best friend. If your spouse isn't your true friend, we've got a problem. So, on the other hand, society has problems, and often spouses aren't true friends. So that's the first question. Do we believe in true friendship? The second question, which is connected, is the following question. Is it possible to do an act which is purely selfless, purely altruistic? This amazing term called altruism, which this week I learned the Hebrew of altruism. Do you know what it is? Altruism. Couldn't believe it. I was like coming up, I had to give this talk on Shabbat in Hebrew, and I was like, what is it? And it's altruism. Right? So altruism. So I just realized, I think, if I speak like this, I'm speaking Hebrew now. Right? So that's what you do. So it's altruism. What is altruism? The following question, which the philosophers challenge. Is there such thing as a selfless act? Is it possible? Is it doable? What do you think, Jordan? Can you do an act which is totally selfless?
Rabbi did, so we have to. We were just talking about this the other night. Yeah.
You're spoiling my share. I haven't mentioned Abraham yet. That's the rabbi's time. Come on, Jordan. You're meant to give your take on it, not my take. Thank you. Thank you. Next time we have to do it properly, Jordan.
On the first time.
Anyone else? Anyone else actually believe in Juliana? Do you believe in altruism?
When you do something good, people make it sound good.
So that's not altruistic. Scott. Charity? Are you joking? Do you know how many people give charity because it gets their name anonymously? Have you ever given charity anonymously?
Me, no.
Okay, well, why? If you have a word with him, right? It's about time. Nachon, but how do you feel after you've done that? Good. The definition of altruism is the following. If you look up the Wikipedia of altruism, the following definition: to do an act where there's no gain attached whatsoever, both prior and post the act. And that's seemingly impossible. Because first of all, this is the problem with friendship. How many people are friends with an agenda? I'm a friend if I'll do this, if it suits me. Like, Zeshaveli. That's one of the lines, right? Is it worth it for me? Is that kedai for me? Like, what do I gain out of it? Oh, I'll do it, but you're thinking. You've been asked for a favor and you're thinking, is it worth it? Like, oh, maybe one day I might get a job. That's, their friend is someone I fancy. Yeah, maybe I'll help. All of a sudden you're thinking 2 steps ahead. Maybe it's worth it. That's definitely not a true friendship, and that's definitely not altruistic. What's even still not altruistic, and this is a problem, the philosophers call it the afterglow. After you do a good act, you feel good. You feel good. So you've gained. So once again, it seems that there's no such thing as true friendship. There's no such thing as altruism. And that's a very sad, cynical, selfish world. And my presentation tonight is to challenge that premise. Richard Dawkins wrote a book in 1976 called The Selfish Gene, where he expounded this concept that everyone's selfish. We're selfish. All we are is selfish beings. It's inevitable. And I'd like to combat that tonight based on the Torah. And we're going to take exactly what Jordan was. That's why it was this week's Parsha, the Vayera. We're going to take the case study of this week of Abraham. Let's look into it. Let's drill into it. And then let's come to some really cool solutions. Ezat Hashem. So what's the story for those who don't know? So we're going to do the Parsha Vayera. Let's start off like this. The pasuk says, Vayera Hashem, Vayera Ilav Hashem. So you know the story. Abraham is 99 years old. Now Abraham is the founder of Judaism. He's the first one to keep Torah and Mitzvot. The Talmud said he kept everything. He kept, says Eruv Tashin, he kept Purim, he kept Tisha B'Av, he kept Hanukkah. He connected to everything because he was a prophet and he spiritually worked out what the Torah was and was keeping it all. But there was one mitzvah he didn't do. What was that one mitzvah? Anyone? Come on, it's the beginning of the Sedra. What was the one? What was the one he didn't do till the end of his life? Brit Milah, circumcision. Why do all the girls know about it, right? So circumcision. Now, why not? Like, why did he wait? Question 1. We'll discuss it soon. So he's 99 years old. He's just had Brit Milah. And by the way, there's a reason why an 8-year-old baby has Brit Milah. Doesn't remember it, right? When an adult has it, it ain't very pleasant. Somewhat traumatic. I had a student of mine, I might have told this story before, called Jonathan. If you're watching Jonathan, I hope you're feeling better. Jonathan went and and I helped him convert to Judaism. I was blessed to be his teacher. And when he finally, we try and keep it away, that one of the criteria of Judaism is you've got to have a brit milah. And then at the end he says he's ready, and he goes to the doctor, and he said the following line, which I'll never forget. He said to the doctor, when the doctor said, which anesthetic would you like, local or general? He says, I want it the way Abraham had it. He didn't have an anesthetic. Now, I don't know how he knows he didn't have an anesthetic, to be honest. He wants to go through the same pain that Abraham went through. Now, that's not right. We've got a doctor there, right? That's just not right? And I personally said to him, you might become Jewish. Are you actually sane? I'm not sure about this, right? But he did, and he was very poorly from it afterwards. And you can imagine a 99-year-old who's just had Brit Milah, he's not going to be going off to Dizengoff Center, running around doing the shopping. But yet, Avraham Avinu doesn't want to go to bed. He doesn't want to go and relax. He decides, I've still got to do the mitzvah of Hachnasat Orchim, looking after guests. So now Hashem kind of does this following shtick. He takes the sun out the sheath, like it's a day in Tel Aviv in August. He makes it the hottest day possible to get Abraham back to bed. So Avraham Avinu, go back to bed. And Avraham says, Hashem, I don't care. I need to look after guests. So that's where we start with this week's Seder. It says, Vayera Elov Hashem. Hashem appeared to him. Says the Or Chaim HaKadosh. What does it mean, God appeared to him? Normally it says, Vayera Hashem Elov. What does it mean, Vayera Elov Hashem? It says the Or Chaim, because he'd just gone to this amazing level, and he descended and gone through that sacrifice of a Brit, he was now merited that Hashem appears to him. The Lubavitcher Rebbe says something I'm going to give you a blessing for. Now I can give it to you really because I'm in Israel now. I can give you blessings. The Rebbe says we should all merit that Hashem should appear to us. Because when you really erode your ego, when you do an act of sacrifice, you see miracles. You see amazing things. Incredible things happen. And Hashem literally appeared to Abraham that day. Then what happened? Says the Pasuk the following. And use this. It says, he was sitting down, V'hu Yoshev. V'hu Yoshev. What's Yoshev?
Sitting.
As opposed to V'hu Yashav. What would be V'hu Yashav?
Settlement.
And he did sit in the past tense. It says V'hu Yoshev in the present tense. He is sitting. Petach Ohel Kachom Hayom, at the entrance of the tent in the heat of the day. Says Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in the Zohar Kadosh. Let's try and understand the kindness of Abraham. He wasn't just kind in this world, he's kind in that world too. Why? Because it says in the present tense. Right now, do you know what Avraham Avinu is? He's sitting. He's sitting at the entrance of the tent in the heat of the day. Where do you think that is? Where's it really hot up there?
Desert.
Gehenna. Hell. Not that I'm going to go into what hell is tonight, but he's sitting at the entrance of hell. That's why they have the fires of Gehenna. Says the Zohar, this pasuk is alluding to the fact that that's what Avraham Avinu does. Just like he helped people in this world, he helps people up there, and people who are suffering in the next world. He right now is sitting at the entrance, trying to schlep people out, trying to help people get out of hell. That's what he's trying to do. Saving the planet, even now. The tzaddikim joke and they laugh, and they say actually no one's left in Gan Eden. Because the wicked people are in hell, and the tzaddikim are in hell trying to get the wicked people out. So actually no one's there. And Avraham Avinu in this week's parsha, we're taught he was sitting there. And then what does it say? It says the following. It says he was sitting down, Vayar and he saw, Vayaratz likratam, and he ran after them. He ran straight away after them. My rabbi in yeshiva told me the following thing. Normally it says in the Torah, if you're sitting down and then you run, it says you sit, and then vayakam, and you stand up, and then you start running. But Avraham Avinu was sitting down, he was in the sitting down position, and then he ran, like Speedy Gonzalez. He just ran like you're a sprinter, running from that position. Why? Because Avraham Avinu had such what's called zurizut, such enthusiasm for kindness. He was literally running for kindness. So he was on the spit. Now says Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen something beautiful. And this is now we can start doing the solutions, my friends, of how we can be like Avraham. How can you have true friendship in your life? How can we achieve altruism? Step one, you have to remember these steps. It says in the Zohar, Hashem wants your heart. Hashem wants your heart. What does that mean? If you're a friend, let's say a friend asks you to do a favor, and if you're like out of duty, it's like, oh, can't believe I've got to go and do this. All right, I'll be like very great and go and do it. And you've got like grumpy face, and you're going to do it. That's okay. At least you've done it. The secret is, what is the most excited you've ever been? Like, I don't know, like the best party you had to go to, or for me, the best football match, or the best, one of your loved one's weddings, and you were so excited to go to the wedding, and you're fast, and you're going. By the way, how someone goes somewhere is indicative of what they feel about that. Says the Zohar, Hashem doesn't just want your actions, He wants your heart. Guys, listen to this. A girl doesn't just want the ring. She wants your heart more than the ring. She wants the ring as well. I don't think you can't have the ring, right? But more than the ring, she wants your heart. It's a love affair between us and Hashem. He wants our heart. If you want to have real friendships, we've got to do it with passion. Says the Tosha Rebbe, something beautiful. Why did Hashem wait for 99 years to make Avraham Avinu do Brit Milah? Because the more you keep someone waiting, the more you're going to be excited. The more there's momentous. The more you appreciate it. For Avraham Avinu, that was such a pinnacle. He kept, can't I have the Brit Milah today, Hashem? And no. Next year, yeah, can it be now? Like a lot of people are waiting to get married, waiting. Sometimes Hashem is like, I need you to go through these phases, because when you eventually get there, it's going to be so unbelievable. And therefore you've sacrificed things. Just like Avraham Avinu had to sacrifice with the Brit Milah. And then he's still sacrificing by running around in the heat when he's physically unable to. Now we're talking about how to be altruistic, my friends. This is the definition of altruism. Doing something that wasn't for him at all. It was nothing about him. He was prepared to sacrifice. The Medrash says something beautiful. It says that he saw the three angels who are, anyone know the name of the angels? Raphael, Gabriel, and Michael. Right, and he's Raphael, Gabriel, and Michael. Right, and he goes and sees them, and it says they were standing in front of him. But at the end, it says V'hu omed aleihem. So at the beginning, they were on a higher level than him. But then when he fed them and looked after them and was there for, he fed the angels. When he did that, he now ascended to a higher level than angels, and he now become greater than angels. You see what happens? Every time you do a mitzvah, my friends, you ascend. The more altruistic you do, you ascend higher and higher and higher, and you can become greater than angels. We can all do that if we can just somehow express the altruism that Avraham Avinu expressed. But who omed is in the present tense. Again, you have to understand the beauty of Torah. Every letter, every word is teaching you the most powerful concepts, my friends. The most powerful concepts. So, Vahu Omed means right now he's standing. What does it mean that Abraham's standing right now? Listen to this. There's a midrash that said Abraham used to wear an amulet. Anyone know about this? He used to wear this precious stone. And that anyone that saw the stone would be healed. If someone was sick, they would just go to Abraham's presence and they would see it and they'd be healed. Listen to this. There was a very famous story of Rabbi Chaim Soloveitchik. He was very ill as a young baby. We've got a doctor in the room. Let's see if anyone's ever done this in the TLV hospital. He's a very, very sick baby. And there was a great Rebbe came into the house and they said, no, what are we going to do with Chaim? She said, you know what to do? Listen to this. And this could be, it's got a new way to treat patients. You ready? I don't know if they'll like it, but tough, right? This is a new way to treat it. You know what he said? He goes, quickly, go and do an act of hospitality. Because whenever you do an act of hospitality, says the Midrash, Abraham comes and stands with you. Do you know that? Says the Midrash, every time, think about it now in your life, you've done an act of hospitality. You've looked after guests. Do you know who's also with you? Like, smiling at you, giving you support? Avraham Avinu, with his amulet. So, that amulet's in the room. Whenever you do an act of hospitality, the amulet's in the room. You're then meant to look at the host, and somehow, apparently, you get healed. It was a true story. Chaim Soloveitchik got healed, and that tradition started passing down. That when people got sick, they used to go and specifically go and do an act. So try it. If anybody, God forbid, there's ever a scenario of sickness, try and do an active Abraham comes in, look at the host, see if it helps. We never heard that one in medical school, right, Scott? Right, you hear it all here. Okay. Now, let's come now down to altruism. Here we go. So we asked the question. So we can start seeing this Abraham special. By the way, he didn't just do an act of kindness, he was kindness. In the Sfirot, you have the concept of these different channels. Abraham literally owned the channel of kindness. He pioneered kindness. We can be kind because Abraham can be kind. Now, here we go. Says Rabbi Dessler, we can be altruistic if we change the definition. That's why in Judaism we have to play with words. Here we go. Because in Kabbalah, and this is really interesting, like why you've come tonight, your spiritual reward for coming tonight will make a difference on levels. You've all done amazing. You get huge points in the next world. And B'ezrat Hashem, let's get into a routine of on Tuesday nights, somewhere around ish now, we're going to be learning Torah together. Torah Tuesdays, we might call it. Even though it should be Torah Mondays and Torah Wednesdays and Torah Thursdays. But we can start with Torah Tuesdays. We've got 2 T's, it works. Says Rabbi Dessler the following. In Kabbalah, why you do something is the most important factor. The Ratzon. Why you do it. My friends, why have you come tonight? If you come tonight because maybe you want to meet someone, okay, nice, you're doing the mitzvah, trying to get married. That's also good. It's also good. But will you really succeed and excel at the mitzvah of learning Torah? A little bit. If you've come because you're thirsty for spirituality, you're thirsty for some Torah, and you're just coming for the sake of Torah, now you're talking. The more you're doing it, it's called L'Shem Shamayim, L'Shma, the higher the mitzvah. So when you do an act of kindness, if you're doing it for ulterior motives, L'Dugma, it's my mother's birthday soon. If I would ever forget to give her cards or present, forget about it. I'm out the will, it's all over, done. So she's from Leeds, I don't know. So the thing is, just before we came to Israel, I was like, oh my gosh, it's my mom's birthday, and we quickly went and bought a present, and we delivered it. That was the last thing we did in London, because I don't want to be cut out of the will, and I still, want to do the mitzvah of kibbud of v'em. Now, I can't therefore say, and if you're watching, happy birthday, I love you very much, right? But to be fair, I'm not going to get in Shamayim the biggest points for the mitzvah of giving my mother a birthday present. Because I'm petrified if I would forget, to be fair. It's not the most spiritual, noble thing I've ever done. In other words, if there's guilt, or if there's duty, or if there's I'm afraid, that's not a very high-level mitzvah. My friends, the high-level mitzvah is when you do it. Why? Because you do it. Full stop. Now watch this. This is Rabbi Dessler. As long as your motivation is selfless, as long as your motivation is altruistic, it doesn't matter if afterwards you get an afterglow. That's a side benefit. It's like tzitzis, a fringe benefit. It's a fringe benefit. It's just it's a ramification. It's a toladah. The key thing in spirituality is why you do it. What is your ratzon? If your desire is just to help, my friends, that's altruistic. If your desire to be someone's friend is, I want to be their friend, irrespective of what they give back to me. What I'm begging you tonight, as you go home soon, is that before you go to sleep, start thinking. Let's stop thinking before I act. Let's just act. If that voice comes in and says, is it worth it being that person's that friend? What does it for me? Shut up the Yitzhara. Move it aside. My friends, there's a beautiful gematria. That gematria is, what's the Hebrew for the word name? Shem. What's the gematria of Shem? It's very easy. It's 2 letters. Come on. 340. 340. 340 is Shem. There's another very famous word with 340. That is sinor. What does sinor mean? A pipe. My holy brothers and sisters, you're all pipes. You're all sinors. What does that mean? Our problem in life is when we're in ego. When we're full of ego, when you're full of your own physical identity, you haven't got a chance. When you're full of me, then you are acting for you. It's all about what can I get out of it? What can I get out of it? Try and go through a day without saying the word I. That's one of the reasons we say in the morning, Modeh Ani. We don't say ani modeh. Because they say, God, for weeks and months we're going to be doing work on meditation, work on mindfulness, work on really trying to learn how to control thoughts, because thoughts are getting in the way. The Baal Shem Tov says you are where your thoughts are, and often we're so full in our thoughts, and our thoughts are manipulating our actions. They're taking it away from being good friends. They're taking it away from being altruistic. But if we learn to push aside those thoughts, like letting the clouds maybe just like go away, and understanding who you are is a light of God. You're a neshama, and you're just a pipe, just channeling Hashem's kindness. Then all of a sudden, what you want is irrelevant. It's what the other person wants which counts. And therefore, according to Kabbalah, we can be altruistic. I'll finish off with some stories, then I'll take questions. 4 stories. Story number 1. This is the best part, everyone, so enjoy this. Story number 1. Let's get this stuff. My friend David. Okay. There were 3 guys. Listen to this, everyone. True story. Happened a few years back. Any of you gone to Thailand for the winter? Any of you? Right. Thailand's a cool place to go for the winter. And my friends went. They went one winter. And the names of these 3 London boys, a guy called Lincoln, a guy called Johnny, and a guy called Paul. And they went off to Thailand having a great holiday. Now, one of the differences between men and women, I don't know if you've realized this, there's many differences. One of the differences is that a guy on the last day of holiday has all these great ideas of all the things they'd like to do, but then normally they oversleep, and if you're lucky, do one of them. So this is what was going on with Johnny and Lincoln, and Johnny was sleeping in, and Lincoln was one of those, come on, there's so much to do. So Lincoln calls up Johnny on the phone and says, get up, I can't believe you're still asleep, it's our last day, you're spoiling my last day, get up. So Johnny says, oh, okay, sure, put the phone down and went back to sleep. 10 minutes later, Lincoln calls back and says, right, I'm coming to get you now. Johnny was sleeping on one of these things on the beach, and Lincoln was up in the hotel. Lincoln came down, Johnny quickly got dressed, went up. My dear friends, that's when the tsunami came. The terrible, terrible tsunami came literally around those minutes. And Lincoln and Paul were not to be seen. Johnny was saved. He was up and he was okay. But later that night, they were looking for his friends. He was looking for Johnny. Johnny was looking for Paul, looking for Lincoln. Paul miraculously was saved. He got held onto some branches, and he was lucky he was saved. But they couldn't find Lincoln anywhere. And the next day, they started to try and search for Lincoln. And how I got involved was the following. I'm walking in Heathrow Airport, about to board a plane to Israel, and one of my dear friends, David, called me up and said, Rabbi, you taught me that the number 1 mitzvah, the mitzvah of altruism, there is a mitzvah of altruism in the Torah where it says chesed shel emet, which means you can be a true friend and you can be altruistic, and that is if you bury a body which no one else can bury, there's God forbid a corpse which no one's buried, and you bury that corpse. That's the number 1 mitzvah out there. That's the thing you have to do more than anything. And David said, Rabbi, you taught me that. I need to go and find Lincoln. I'm going to go and find Lincoln. I said, David, it is a big mitzvah, but I wasn't referring to after a tsunami when there's no way of you finding him. How are you going to, and by the way, do you realize what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to trawl the morgues. You have to go on the beaches. You're going to be walking past thousands of dead bodies. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. You don't even know where the haystack is. And he said, Rabbi, give me a blessing. I gave him a blessing. He went off. And it was impossible. You're not going to find one person. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning, he calls me up, says, you're right, I shouldn't have gone. But I'm already here. Anything I can do? He said, when Shabbat comes in, if we don't find him, yalla, we go home. We tried. You've seen him. So I said, David, you're already there. Put on tefillin. Give some tzedakah. Say some tehillim. And by the way, Tehillim is so powerful. We're going to learn a lot about Tehillim over the coming months. By the way, before you say Tehillim, say, Mekubal told me, B'schut David HaMelech, Alav HaShalom, Ben Yishai V'Shem Imon Nitzevet Bat Adiel, to say his King David's mother and her mother. And he did that. And he went to try and find Lincoln one last time. The last morgue he went into was a morgue in Phuket. He's in Phuket. And he walks into this morgue. And already it was a Jewish scene. Why? There was some Israelis in the morgue because they're from the Zakah, came to help in this extreme emergency. They were there and they said, Shalazar, saw he was Jewish, can we help you? He said, I'm looking for Lincoln, and David saw the weirdest sight. Because they've been in and out of hundreds of morgues. They saw at the back of the morgue, one of the corpses had a hand up. Like the hand was just like up. Like, it's not normal. And they went to the body. So maybe it's a sign. I don't want to be too graphic, but you couldn't tell by then someone's face. They didn't know it was Lincoln. It could have been Lincoln, but they saw one thing which made maybe it was. Can you guess what it was? We started with it tonight. Circumcision. He was circumcised. Very, very rare in Thailand. Not many people circumcised out there. Not many. So they thought, oh, maybe it was him. So they said to Zakok, is there any way of finding out? Maybe this is our friend Lincoln. He said, the best way to do it is to fax through the dental records. So they called up Lincoln's mom, and it was a very intense conversation. They called her up, and then she said, have you found him? Have you found him? And they said, we don't know, but can you fax through the dental records? Maybe. Let's see what happens. She faxed through the dental records. They found Lincoln, miraculously. They brought him home, and they had a huge funeral in London on the Monday. And why I tell this to you is, for me, that's a good example of altruism. David Hanuna did not want to go. He had to go through a lot of hell to try and find his dead friend. He wasn't going to get anything back. He didn't want it. He was uncomfortable. But you know what? He did it. Why? Because we're capable of being pipes. We're capable of eroding from the ego. Do you know what it says in Pirkei Avot about Avram Avinu? It says, I think in chapter 5, Mishnah 22, Hevei talmidav shel Avram Avinu. Do you know how you can be one of his students? Be humble. Be humble. If you're humble, if you can erode that ego of yours, there's nefesh shfela. Almost get rid of your appetite for physical desires. Try and get to a place where you've really moved away from your ego. When you're in a place of holding with Hashem, you can do anything for anyone, because it's not about you. It's not about you. You know, I wish I could really achieve some altruism. The only thing I can think of, one of the things I did once, was someone asked for a lift back after Shabbat once. And I said to them, sure, I'll give you a lift. And I got in the car, and I said to him in my house in Hendon, where are you going? And he goes, I'm going to Essex. Now, that's a schlep. You know, it's like in Tel Aviv, you're in Tel Aviv, you know, can I go to Ashkelon? What would you say? Like, you promised, I'm a rabbi, and I promised him a lift, and I can't really chuck him out now. Right? So I was like, okay, I really don't want to do that. There's football on later. And I did it. And I think that's an example of altruism to the extent of when you really don't want to do something, when your ego's not involved, where there's no selfishness. In fact, it's almost inconvenient. Zebaya. Do you know what this says in Pirkei Avot? And I love Pirkei Avot. It's so meaningful. It says in Pirkei Avot, in chapter 5 again, it says, we should get to the level where we should say, Sheli shelcha, what's mine is yours, v'shelcha shelcha, and what's yours is yours. That's the goal. The goal is, you're not important. I've got news for you. You're not important. Now, ironically, the more you say I'm not important, you become very important. Because then you become a very important pipe that can do tremendous things in this world. If we can learn just to step back and let Hashem's light in, the talents you have and the blessings you have can be incredible. Can be incredible. Story number 2. Some of you know this famous one. In 2006, there was the deputy commander of Golani, of Givati, Big Golani. His name is Roy Klein, in the Lebanon War. Imagine what you would do, right? You're a soldier, and there's a war, and you're fighting with Hezbollah, and there was a big wall, and they threw the grenade over the wall, and there was a grenade which was about to go off. What do? Roy Klein went and jumped on the grenade to save his friends. True story. He jumped on the grenade. And he said, and everyone who's reported and everyone heard him, he said, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, Klein met. That they heard it. And then what was amazing, even before he died, when some of his friends came to save him, he goes, no, Ani, there was another guy that could get better. He said, forget about me. Hey, different level. He's a human being. That's a guy in Israel. 16 years ago. We're capable of that. We don't have to be selfish. We don't have to be manipulative. We don't have to be controlling. We can be kind. We have the capacity to be kind. We have the capacity to, we've got the gene of Avraham Avinu in us. Anachnu ma'aminim b'nei ma'aminim. We say every day, Elokei Abraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. We don't just say it stam, we say it because we can reach that level. It says in Pirkei Rabbi Elazar, we're meant to say every day, when can I reach the level of my forefathers? Means it's in us. We've got Abraham in us, Sarah in us, Rivka, we can achieve greatness. My sister, she's great. When a few years back, she had a baby called Simi, who was born with brain damage, and they still hoped he was going to live for many years, and they were looking after him. But after 14 months, the doctor said, "You've got to come and say goodbye to your son." And she had to say goodbye to her son. And my sister's so wise, so deep, so incredible. The way she broke the news to her family was the following. She said, she spoke to her kids and said, she used the mashal, she used the metaphor. She said, imagine you have a best friend, and that best friend comes and gives you a diamond and says, look after the diamond for me, but don't grow too attached to it, because in 14 months, I'm going to come back and take it back. That's how my sister broke the news. He said, Sini was the most beautiful diamond that Hashem gave us, but he's come and asked for the diamond back. So it's okay, he's with Hashem now. But that wasn't what was incredible. What was incredible was, after the torment she went through, just a few months later, she gets a call from a friend who's connected to social services. And the social services had the following dilemma. There was a baby born in London, actually from an Israeli mother, with a similar condition to Simi, a boy called Jack. And the baby was about to be taken in by the government, by social services. It was about to be taken in. And that's a big deal. It was like a very, very famous rabbinical family, and all of a sudden, some like non-Jewish family is going to bring up this Jewish baby, and my sister's thinking, do you know what? Hashem's given us a chance. We can have another chance with what's called an Olam Haba baby, a baby that's very, very ill. In Kabbalah, it's called a Ben Olam Haba, like an angel. Someone who's very, very sick in this world, and that means that they're on a higher spiritual level. The Chazon Ish says someone who's disabled, you're meant to stand up for them. The less physical faculties you have, that means you've achieved most of it already in previous lives. So my sister said, we've got to look after him. And her and her husband agreed to look after a stranger's baby for 2.5 years after she lost the baby. She's now altruistically going in and out of hospitals again with someone else's baby. And by the way, can I know her? She got another 10. So she's a busy girl. She didn't have a lot of time. But when there's love, there's time. She found the time, she found the space in her heart to love someone else's baby after a trauma she went through, and she's just my sibling. We're capable of the most incredible things if we can just shut our Yetzer Hara up, if we can just erode from the ego, if we can just stop thinking, ooh, what's in it for me? And finally, the final story that I'm going to say, and then said I'm happy to take questions, which is Rav Noach Weinberg, the great Rosh Hashiva of Esha Torah's famous, he said his favorite story in the world. So I'll finish off tonight with his favorite story in the world. It goes like this. There was two best friends, a guy from Rome and a guy from Syria. And the Roman guy came to visit his Syrian friend, and he's in Syria, and they're chilling out together, and there's a big knock on the door. And it's the police. And they're coming in, and they're taking the Syrian, and said, we know you're a spy. And they take the spy, the Syrian spy, and the Roman spy, and he's now in front of the emperor. And they say to him, we know you've been spying, you're going to go through the death penalty now, we're going to kill you. And the Roman guy says the following line to the emperor, which the emperor had never heard before. He said, 1 minute, oh, I know I'm guilty, but I've got to say goodbye to my family. Let me go and put my house in order back in Rome. Now let me say goodbye. Let me go back, and then I'll come back in a few days' time, and then you can kill me. The emperor says, do you think I'm stupid? Really? He goes, I'll give you a guarantor, he said. I'll give you a guarantor. I'll give you a guarantor. What's the guarantor? I've got a friend. He'll stand in for me. He'll stand in for me. My friend from Syria. The emperor says, I need to see this. And they brought in his Syrian friends, and the Syrian friend says, sure, take me instead. I'll sit in prison. If he's not back in 30 days, you can kill me instead. The emperor had never heard of such a thing. He said, okay, let's play this out. This is going to be fun. So the Roman friend goes back to Rome, gives his family a hug and a kiss, and sorts his affairs out. Comes back, like he promised. Problem was, he was a bit delayed. The problem with the boat. He was delayed. And he comes back a few hours late, where it was already kind of too late. They'd already got his Syrian friend in a noose. They're about to hang his friend. And the Roman guy is coming in, saying, no, it's me. You got to kill me, not him. Like, I'm here now. I'm here. Leave him alone. Take him down from the noose. And then his Syrian friend says, no, you got to kill me. He came late. You promised after 30 days. After 30 days, I've agreed to. Leave him alone. Kill me. And they're both arguing that they want them to be killed. The emperor says, I've never heard anything like this before. I've got to think about this. And they come in front of the emperor, and they're both claiming that they're the ones who need to be killed. And the emperor says, okay, I've decided what I'm going to do. Decided. You can both go free on one condition. You become my best friends. Says Rabbi Noach Weinberg, that's what Hashem says to us. V'yohavta l'recha kamocha. You should love your friend like you love yourself. Why? Ki ani Hashem, because I am Hashem. My dear friends, the more we're friends to each other, the more Hashem wants a relationship with us. If we're, God forbid, nasty and selfish or narcissistic and loners, and Hashem is like, we haven't got a lot to work with. The closer you are to another, the closer you are to God. Religion isn't just about ticking boxes, not just about doing the observances between you and God. It's much more about that's why all the way through Genesis, we're learning about being a good person. We're going through personality growth. Because derech, eretz, kadma Torah. Before you can be an observant Jew, you've got to be a mensch. You've got to be someone who's decent and kind and honest and genuine and friendly. We're capable of that. It's a famous question. When God comes to Abraham and says, I want to look after you, go to bed. Why is Abraham allowed to say to God, Hashem, it's not convenient, go away. I'm going to look after 3 Arab idolaters. That's what he thought they were. He didn't know they were angels. How can he do that? How is it, as the Gemara asks, how is Hachnasat Orchim greater than Kabbalat Pnei Shekhinah, the greeting Hashem? Now we know the answer. Now we know the answer. The thing that Hashem wants from you more than anything is to be a good friend to each other. When you're a good friend, now you're friendly with Hashem. Now Hashem wants to be part of your gang. He wants to be part of your crew. Oh, that's a crew I want to be part of. If there's a crew where there's broiguses and disconnect and everyone's arguing with each other, Hashem is like backing down and says, I'm not sure. And therefore I give you this blessing, my friends. The first and foremost, you should focus on wanting to be a true friend for someone else. Nothing to do with what you get back. Just think of someone in your life that you can think, okay, I'm going to be there for them no matter what. I mean, let me ask you a question. It's an intense question. Would you ever be prepared to, God forbid, die for someone? Like Roy Klein? Because that's the level we can get to. Are you prepared to go through the pain barrier for someone? Are you prepared to travel now to Netanya for someone, even though it's inconvenient? Are you prepared to go out your comfort zone? Let's stop thinking, 1 minute, I'll do you a favor if im ze shaveh li. Tamin li, ze shaveh lecha. The more it's not shaveh lecha, the more it is shaveh lecha. Like the less you gain, the more you gain. But don't do it for that gain. There's a famous question, which is, I'll leave you with this question. If we believe in Olam Haba, if you believe in the world to come, can actually anything be altruistic? Because if you think about it, the higher you go, the bigger the rewards in the next world. And the answer is like Rav Dessler says, Nachon, but that's not why you should do mitzvot. Don't do mitzvot because there's a big portion in the world to come. Do mitzvot like my sister did, because it's the right thing to do. Someone falls down, you don't stop and think, oh, great opportunity to get the world to come. Let me help them. You just see someone there, you want to get them out of pain. End of. That's the way we need to learn to be much more instinctive, this pipe which is just flowing through light. And B'ezrat Hashem, we should fulfill the mission in Pirkei Avot, which is Knei Lecha Chaver, to acquire for yourself a friend. That's why it says the word acquire, because you've got to invest. It doesn't come easy. You've got to invest. Friendship needs investment. It's a lot calm. You can't have a fair weather. People have fair weather friendships, but then when the weather changes, yalla, see you later. If you want a real friend, a genuine friend, you've got to be there for them without conditions, unconditional friendship. You've got to be what's mine is yours and what's yours is yours. And you've got to be humble. And B'ezrat Hashem, by doing that, by being humble, by really being there for each other, by believing that we are capable of being altruistic, Hashem's with you. Hashem should bless you all with tremendous blessings in your life. The word chaver comes from the word Chevron. It's not a coincidence. The where we're buried is in Chevron, which means in Kabbalah, Kibur Nun, connecting to the 50th level. The word chaver, the gematria 210, 220, which is the same as Hahar, which is a mountain, which is again, sorry, it is 210. Hahar, which is also 210, which is why Hashem gave the Torah on Har Sinai, because He gives you the Torah where you're a vessel of friendship. So B'ezrat Hashem, we should be that vessel of friendships for each other, and B'ezrat Hashem, Hashem should then enjoy dwelling with us as well. Thank you for listening.
Amen.
Any questions? Any questions? So B'ezrat Hashem, I'll let you know when next week's talk is. Hopefully it'll be Tuesday. And I'll let you know. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here tonight. You're the man. Give it up. Please, I want you just to say thank you. Buy the most expensive drinks in the house. Right? Buy the most expensive drinks in the house and enjoy. And I'm happy for you to ask me questions through the evening. I'm not going anywhere. L'chaim, everybody. L'chaim. Good night. Thank you.